Think about it. Humans appear to have a coordinated display of embarrassment that resembles appeasement signals in other species. What does this tell us about the function of embarrassment? Why do you feel embarrassed when you trip and fall in a full lecture hall? What effects should your display of embarrassment have on your classmates? Okay, so when you're when you're embarrassed, you're trying to appease other people. You're kind of like submissive. So that makes people see you not as a threat and be more positive toward you. Why do you feel embarrassed when you trip and fall in a full lecture hall? Because you've broken the social norms of like appropriate behavior and you look silly. What effect should your display of embarrassment have on your classmates? It should appease them that you tripped and fell, and then they'll be like, oh, that's fine. The relationship between culture and emotion is complex. Say you're seated at a wedding reception with an older European American man who tells you that East Asians never get excited. How would you explain to him that he's mistaken by drawing on the concepts of ideal emotions and display rules? Well, people from the East, they value contentment more than excitement, and so they would focus on that. And excitement is also shown more in Western culture, and because it's valued less, shown less in Eastern culture, but it could just be masked. So in terms of display rules, people in the East can de-intensify their emotional expression of excitement, and they might temper their experience of excitement with negative emotions. In terms of ideal emotions, there are focal emotions, which are especially common within a particular culture. So in the West, excitement is a focal emotion, and in the East, since it's not a focal emotion, it's just going to be de-emphasized. This is based on affect valuation theory, which is that emotions that promote important cultural ideals are valued and will tend to play a more prominent role in the social lives of individuals. So then, they're more likely to express emotions that are in line with their culture, like contentment and harmony. Much communication today occurs via electronic text rather than face-to-face, whether in an online chat or text message, an email, or a post on a social media site. Given what you know about the importance of emotions for social relationships, why do you think people frequently use emoticons and emojis in these communications? What social functions do they perform? So it humanizes the messages, and it helps you create more of a social bond, which would, if you want someone to feel cozy, sending an emoji could help release oxytocin for them. It simulates more closely face-to-face interactions because you're literally showing them your face in a facial expression. Suppose you just got into a huge fight with your parents on the phone and are feeling angry. You call up your romantic partner to talk about the fight, but just end up fighting with your partner. Using what you know about emotions' effects on perception, how would you explain the second fight and perpetuated mood states more generally? So since you're already angry, your emotion is causing you to evaluate the world and perceive it through the lens of being angry. So then when you talk to your partner, you perceive the information they give you in this light, sorting for anger, sorting for things that could provoke your anger, and of course you'll find some. So it's a secondary effect of the primary fight. So basically you need to let your brain calm down enough so that your perception is balanced again before talking to your romantic partner, or else you could just keep picking a fight when your brain is already upset. If you were working as a canvasser collecting signatures for a petition to ban same-sex marriage, what strategies could you use to increase your signature count, given what you know about moral foundations theory and the effects of disgust on moral judgment? So moral foundations theory proposes that there are 5 evolved universal moral domains in which specific emotions guide moral judgments. So in this case, the domain of purity degradation would help you, and that centers on avoiding dangerous diseases and contaminants, and more metaphorically, socially impure ideas or actions. Disgust is the emotion at the core of such intuitions. And when you basically make people feel disgust, they condemn with greater severity gay men who are perceived as impure. So based on that, I could basically tell people something disgusting, like a really gross fact, even maybe a very gross fact about like gay people, like AIDS, right? Or talk about anal sex, and then ask if they want to sign a petition banning same-sex marriage. Would winning several $1 million in the lottery make you happier? What does research on affect forecasting predict? What does the research on money and happiness have to say? How should you spend your winnings to maximize happiness? Winning several $1 million wouldn't really make you happier beyond about the $75,000 that you need to survive basically, unless of course you use the money like they ask to maximize happiness by spending it on experiences, spending it on people you love and maybe even strangers, spending it to experience awe, and maybe spending it to practice, to get someone to help you practice meditation and loving kindness more. So, effective forecasting involves predicting future emotions, such as whether an event will result in happiness or anger or sadness, and for how long. And this is a type of bias because we're not that good at being able to tell about that. For example, when you think about immune neglect, people think it will take more of a toll on them when bad things happen than actually happen, such as a breakup. So in a sense, in terms of immune neglect, the good news is losing all the money probably won't affect you as much as you think it will. However, of course, in terms of effective forecasting, just because we think that money will make us happy doesn't mean it will, because we're not that good at being able to tell. And this basically makes sense in terms of focalism, which is a tendency to focus too much on a central aspect of an event while neglecting the possible impact of associated factors or other events. So because we think money in the West is like a central route to happiness, we would focus too much on it. But like the textbook says, well, even if you're making enough money, if your children get sick, if you're going through a divorce, it really doesn't matter how much money you have. You still have to experience other suffering that money can't prevent. Page 199 for critical thinking on the game of happiness. How many of these tips for happiness do you regularly practice? What keeps you from doing the others more frequently? So I have been doing gratitude every week from the Discord server I'm a part of. I also express my appreciation for my friends probably more than once a week at this point. Do something that makes you laugh, like send funny gifts. Yeah, I do that. Go for a walk somewhere that makes you feel awe. Yeah, I go to the park. I don't donate to charity because I don't have money. I'm the charity at the moment. The loving kindness meditation and writing about your best possible self, I mean, those kind of go together. I could do that more. That's a great one. If you have some spare money, buy an experience instead of a consumer product. I could do that more. And the self-compassion one, I do that maybe less than once a week, maybe more, but I do that. And going out with friends, I don't really do that. Okay, what keeps you from doing the ones you don't do very often more frequently? The loving kindness meditation just takes a bit of time, so that's why I don't do it as much. Creating an experience with a friend, I mean, because of social anxiety, but I could create an experience for myself, and I am getting more comfortable with a couple people. Yeah, going out with friends, the same thing. Before reading these 10 tips, what would you have guessed makes people happy? How do your intuitions compare to what these 10 tips suggest? I would have thought work satisfaction and making a lot of money would make people more happy, or having a lot of friends, or being emotionally stable. But these are kind of external. Well, I still don't think that's wrong, but these are kind of external practices. So it's different in that sense, that I thought it was more stable characteristics of a person's life. I guess kind of like the philosophers thought. But this is more practices that anyone can do, which is kind of lovely. They're very accessible.